With KBLA Talk 1580, the Terry Claiborne Foundation presents its 26th annual holiday party, Saturday, December 9th, featuring live entertainment, celebrity appearances, plus food and drinks. There is a cover charge for this party of the season, but not if you're one of our special guests. All you have to do is go to our website at KBLA1580.com and sign up. That's it, that's all. Just sign up at KBLA1580.com and you could win entrance to the soiree of the season. But whether you win or not, get a ticket, support the kids, and come join us on the red carpet in your semi-formal club attire and celebrate the season with KBLA Talk 1580 and the Terry Claiborne Foundation as we collect toys for the youth in our community. That's Saturday, December 9th, 1110 South La Cienega Boulevard, just south of Olympic. It's a holiday party with a purpose.
I'm Terry Claiborne. It's going to be a party. Come hang out with us.
Ladies, this your song. From Miami to the Bay. Ladies, this your song. I'm calling out all the girls in the club tonight. Yeah. Put your hands in the air if you're gon' let her play your card. I beat it up. Yeah. 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 Say, baby, I really wanna drive you crazy tonight. Little mama, wanna see them toes way up in the sky. Turn around, let me see it from the back. I know you like it when I eat it like that. From the bottom to the top, wanna see that waterfall drop, 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 drop. Girl, I know you're gon' tell your friends. That's why I gotta beat it up like this. Run in your mouth like that. Now they wanna know if I can give it to them. Beat it up.
Shout out to Jay Valentine. He just dropped a new single. He has a new album coming out called Conversations with Women. So make sure you're checking for that. I can't remember the name of the single. Shame on me, but go look for it. It's wherever you get your singles at. It's a nice joint. Support. That's family. Take care of them. And, I heard the ladies like him. I heard the ladies like it. So, get out there with it. I feel like, Andy, we must be connecting because I know that's technically Love Ranta's song, but didn't YG hop on that? Okay. So, because that song made its rounds and everybody was kind of hopping on that from around, different places. Chris Brown hopped on it. It kind of did the work across the country.
It sure did. I want to say this came out, 2009, maybe 2010, 2011?
Yeah.
This was at the height of YG's mixtapes.
Yep.
And DJ Mustard. So I do remember YG hopping on a track. If you was at any house party at that time, that song right there definitely turned it up.
Let me tell you, my we had a party at my house for this is gonna sound crazy. So Kofi Seabrae, right? Y'all know him from Queen, Sugar Girl, Stripper, stuff like that. He actually grew up across the street from me, he and his family. They were good friends of my family. So he and my daughter got together and they threw a party that summer. And I remember when they played that particular song, and it was like, it was about 300 kids at this party, and I had never heard the song before.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt like a moment. I was like, oh, I don't know what this is, but this is a song. This is it. I need this in my life.
What that do?
Right. Shout out to Urban Spencer in the chat. She was like, hyphy version, Jay Valentine. Thank Me for That is the name of the single. That's the name of it. Thank you. Shout out to you, Urban Spencer. I appreciate that.
Isn't there another single that just dropped from the family?
From
the Newt family?
Bobby Newt. He has a new song out too.
You Are Enough, right?
You Are Enough. It's getting added everywhere. So that's his Afrobeats version, kind of. So, they're rolling over there. They're ready for 2024 takeover.
Okay.
So shout out to the new, if you haven't checked out the R&B Money podcast that has Jay Valentine's origin story, check that out. It is an amazing story, very cinematic. in, point. So that is it on that. I feel like I know why you played that, but it also ties into this next story that I'm going to talk about.
Why did I play
it? Because we were talking about Jay Valentine, and weren't we talking about that?
I don't know if we were specifically talking about him, but you did bring his name up.
That's why I thought, because you were connecting that we mentioned it, and you're just like being supportive. The theme.
Plus, the song is fire too, though.
Listen, like I told you, it was a moment. I was like, what song is this? I want to be a teenager again in this moment. Goodness. All right, so the reason why I said this kind of ties in is, Boosie went at YG, he went at Rod Wave, because, Rod Wave actually did sample some of his music, and Boosie just thinks the fact that they said, "Who do you love?" is, from him. I really don't understand that one, Boosie. Even when they played the song, it's like, it's just the same words. It's not the same cadence. It's not the same feeling behind it. Who Do You Love very much sounds like a Bay Area song. It sounds like what it is. So I don't know. But, that's neither here nor there. Boosie said he got on live, as he does, right? And he was like, tell Rod Wave that he wants $2,000 and 25% of the record. And he said, that's the only way that you're going to convince him not to sue. Boosie says, you're going to pay me for emotional damage, Instagram, and everything. So I understand, but I don't. One, they're saying, and I haven't verified this, but they're saying that Boosie doesn't own his own song, and that Rod got permission from the actual owner of the song. We've seen that happen before, right? We've seen cases of that. Some people, artists, I should say, still feel disrespected. If that is the case, they feel like no matter what the splits say, if I am the performing artist, that, you should come kiss the crown, kiss the ring, right? You can make your own determination for that. But Rod said he was going to break Boosie off some money before he said he was going to quit the music industry. I don't know what's going to happen with that, but, Boosie, you're back relevant, right? I don't know. Maybe talk about doing a remix and getting on it and having pay you for that, and we figure something else out. It's given, I need a lick too right now. Like, let me take advantage of them. That may not be the case. You may really feel disrespected behind all of this. I don't know. We'll have to see. But chill out, little Boosie. When we come forward, more trending topics, more headlines. You're locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Trending topics and the hottest happenings. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. Environmental justice, pollution, and climate. In Los Angeles and across America, people of color are suffering and dying from disproportionate health impacts on a planet that has less than 10 years to prevent irreversible damage. Heat illnesses, respiratory illnesses, water-related illnesses, food system impacts, insect-related diseases, black maternal health, and mental health effects. As the impacts of climate change mount, millions of vulnerable people, our people, are going to bear the brunt of these extreme environmental events, which will likely lead to forced displacement, loss of cultural identity, and other related risks. These realities are as real as rain. Stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580 for more details about the most progressive multimedia and live events campaign any black media outlet has ever undertaken to combat the climate catastrophe. Experts, events, empowerment. It's all on the way from unapologetically progressive KBLA Talk 1580. We don't black down. We level up.
level up, 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 level up.
Did you know there's a way to outsmart COVID if you get it? Now there are medicines that can treat COVID, whether or not you've been vaccinated, which is great news, especially if you're over 50. If taken in the first 5 days of having symptoms, COVID medicines can help stop the illness from getting serious. Call a healthcare provider or the statewide COVID hotline at 833-422-4255 to learn more about COVID medicines. Brought to you by the California Department of Public Health.
JP Morgan Chase is building on the investments in California and around the country to help close the racial wealth gap and build a more equitable future. As part of JP Morgan Chase commitment, they are taking action to help improve financial wealth and access to banking in the Black community, helping more people open low-cost checking and savings accounts, hosting community seminars with supporting Black-led institutions by building awareness about financial investments, hiring community managers, and opening community center branches like Crenshaw, Inglewood, and downtown LA. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Get the tools to help reach your financial goals. Visit today, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity. Again, jpmorganchase.com/racial equity.
Keeping you informed, entertained, and always ahead of the curve. This is RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You were locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Now look, before I get back to this, RSVP-ness and all these trending topics and headlines, let me remind you that in about 15 minutes or so, we are going to be dropping interviews with the cast of Raising Kanan Power Book 3. That is Makai Curtis, Antonio Ortiz, Malcolm Mays, who plays Lulu, Haley Kilgore, Jukebox, London Brown. Shout out to London. I believe London is from LA. So is Malcolm. London Brown plays Uncle Marvin. Joey Badass, who plays Unique. And the introduction of a new character. Grantham is his real name. His character's name is Ronnie on the show. So that is going to be happening soon. However, it's going to be an audio-only thing. So if you haven't already, download the app. If you're here in LA, of course, you can tune in to 1580 to listen to it live there. Or download the app and get into it for later on, catch it on the podcast. But it won't be on YouTube, so that is the reason why I am letting you know this ahead of time. So Urban Spinster said, I was jokingly said in the chat that I was going to write the Newt documentary. She says, please share how you keep your intellectual property protected. I have one that I want to make on a very traumatic LA. Well, I do have a documentary that I'm working on. The joke that I'm making about writing one for the Newt family is because I think you remember we had Bobby Newt in as a guest a couple months ago. Our families are very close. That is like my family. So I not a lot, but there is very much part of the story that was being shared on that podcast that I was there for and I was a part of. And so I always say that, I was going to write it for them. But I do think that is something that they are definitely working on. It deserves a cinematic treatment. If you are familiar, which I know that you are, Urban Spinster, at least, with the Jay Valentine's father, a man named Ron Newt, did several Vlad TV interviews that at this point have become, the stuff of urban legends, as a lot of Vlad interviews really have. It's crazy. I don't know when Vlad popped up into my consciousness as far as like going to check things out, but I think it was just the fact that it was there as a bit like it was someplace I could go, and he gave the artist enough time that you could get into some stories that you kind of can't get into when it's of a shorter time frame, or it's a 10-minute interview. These people are there for like hours and really get into the details and the intricacies of some of their stories and their climbs and falls and so forth. And so for that, I find it intriguing. And, the culture vulture thing, that's another interesting conversation because I know a little bit about his history, but I wonder if he set out and actually knew what he was doing, or if it was just the evolution of such. A couple of interviews where some a good question or a good story led to a viral moment, and it kind of continued from there. I wonder if it was happenstance versus strategy. So it's just a random thing. I wonder where Vlad goes from here, too. I mean, I don't know. That's just a side, a slight side. Okay, so listen. Are you looking to see K. Michelle on a reality show again? Well, it has been announced that she is joining Queen's Court. This is the reality show. It debuted last March. It was exclusively on Peacock. And the first season of it featured Nivea, Tamar Braxton, and Evelyn Lozada. And if you recall, both Evelyn and Tamar walked away from the show with fiancés. Now, we're not going to quibble over the fact that both of them have since broken up with said fiance. Although Tamar the other day was on her Instagram Live saying that she is taking responsibility for some of the problems in her relationship with her fiance that she met on this show, Queen's Court. Remember Holly Robinson Peete and her husband, Rodney Peete, former NFL star. They were the mentors on the show, and so they mentored both the celebrity women that were on there. There hasn't been an announcement yet who will be joining K. Michelle on season 2, or if there is even another female that will be a part of the process. But basically, typical dating show thing. They kind of walk them through the process, and so we see what happens. But yeah, everybody got engaged except for Nivea, and now everybody's apart. But Tamar is beefing. Well, not beefing. Just I'm not really sure what's going on, but Tommy from Love and Hip Hop and now Zeus's Baddies show was courtside with Tamar's ex-fiance, and they've been sending shots at each other and all of these things, and I'm just like, girl, what is happening? I don't know. Is it one of those situations where you see your boo with somebody else and you're like, dang, he's looking really cute today? Maybe he changed. Is it just, you don't want him, but nobody else can have him either? Or was it really a come to Jesus moment for Tamar? I don't know. If it was, I hope that they work out. And again, keep that thing private while they figure it out, just because for Tamar's mental health, I don't know. She seems to have these like breakdowns and sad situations on social media, and we don't want to see that anymore. We want to see her happy and thriving. But back to K. Michelle, do you think that she can actually find love, or is this just about a check? I'm going to say it's probably just about a check, but you never know what can happen. You have to remain optimistic and hopeful. That's how love works its magic, right? Well, speaking of love, this story is related to the end of a love. So we talked about earlier this week, and actually last week, the end of Tiana Taylor's marriage to former NBA star Iman Shumpert. We know that Tiana went to great pains when she initially filed for divorce in January to keep the information private using the couple's initials, and that Iman revealed them, not him, but his lawyers, when they decided to counter on some of the things that were said. And so that's how it got out into the world, and all of the details spilled out there. Oh, we have commentary in the chat, so we're going to take a pause and we'll spin the block back to that. Urban Spinster says, I saw London Brown doing stand-up at the Comedy Union. That's a trip. Was that you at the press conference for Ronnie Simone after the shooting? Um, yes, it was, Urban Spinster. Yes, it was. Um, and let's see what else. There's a lot going on there. It was me though. Yep, I was there. So back to London and London. No, we weren't talking about London. We were talking about London earlier. We'll be talking to him soon. Back to Tiana. So she filed to keep the details of their divorce document sealed, right? Because she doesn't want the rest of y'all in her business because the internet detectives get on it, right? They really do. But a judge has denied her request for that, according to Radar Online. He said that the singer's motion to seal the documents pertaining to the case could not happen, right? He said that basically that wait, I'm sorry. I lost my place in my notes. Apologies. Basically, he denied. He said once the details of the split began to leak, it's out there. So we'll have to see what happens. Maybe they'll change course and how they handle it. I hope that, initially it sounded really nice. Like, hey, life just took us in different directions, basically. We're still going to be rock star co-parents and, no shade, no tea, no beef. Just things didn't come together. But now it's looking like it could get a little tricky. If you read some of the information, or if you listen to me reading the information here of the filing, sounds like it could be a definite process. It's something that, is gonna be a long process to work through, and definitely a little tricky, a little sticky, lots of details that of course we in the public space like to hear but don't necessarily need to hear. So we'll see what happens with that, what develops with it. I don't know. It's out there now, right? It is out there now. I'm sure they'll calm down and come together. So let me ask you guys a question. What are your feelings about divorce and prenup? We're not going to get too into it, but there's so many stories about it. There's so many things that are happening, and we keep running through the same topics, and we keep seeing the same people. Well, not the same people, but the same type of stories. People upset. They're not being taken care of. They're not happy with the amounts. I thought that was the point of a prenup, not only to keep your money. Prenups can come together and be composed of and say whatever you want to, right? It's all just a little interesting thing. I just wonder, there should be like a standard bulletproof one now. I'm sure that there are, but it seems bizarre to me that we still have these many problems when two famous people come together, because you already know it's going to be up from there. You already know it's going to be a little bit of drama should you decide to part ways. So why not just handle it and think about it as, I'm not getting married to get divorced. So we aren't even really going to have to get into all of that, but just, get it straightened out, get it ironed out. So you're not there looking crazy. Okay, so listen, I think this might be the last story before we go into our Raising Canaan debut. Remember, download the app, or if you're in LA, you can listen to it on the radio or check it out tomorrow in podcast version. But speaking of new podcasts, TJ Holmes and Amy, their new podcast is dropping next week, December 5th, right? And in an interview recently, they promised that they'll be serving tea on this new podcast, that they are going to be dropping deets. So basically, she said, why, yes, we be serving tea 1 week from today. Amy and TJ, are ready. They're ready to let it go, get the things going. I wonder if by tea, they mean the tea on what really happened with them, or is it more about serving others tea? I'm curious. I'm curious how far they're going to go into the backstory and all of that. I guess we'll see in a couple of days. Are people still interested? The news cycle moves on fast. Like, people can be so obsessed with something on a Tuesday, and by Friday, they don't even remember the details. That is where we are in this time frame. It's just how it goes. Okay, so let's see. There's more. There's always more. Okay, I told you about Michael Jackson. Oh, this was the story, and I really didn't want to end the night on this. Well, I'm going to do this one first. First of all, congrats to Bronny James. He has been cleared to return to basketball 4 months after he suffered from cardiac arrest. Remember that LeBron and family did reveal later that he did have to have some type of procedure from the event, and that it is something that was cognitive related to, cognitive obviously means, I don't want to call it a birth defect, but something that was amiss in that situation. Fahima says, bad marriage for life. Listen, Jada and Will, and of course they say that they have a renewed love for each other at this point and back together. Jada and Will have something in that idea, and they're not the only couple that has embraced something like that. Separate lives, but we're still together. Because, a lot of people don't want to give up that money. They do not want to part with their assets, and they do not want to part with their lifestyle. So, my thing is, if they're okay with it, far be it from me to tell somebody else how to run their marriage. That may not be how marriage in theory was intended to go, but I do think that marriage, much like relationships, those are personal choices, and you and the person that you selected have to come together and figure out, how can we make this work? How are we going to continue on with this process no matter the circumstance? So I don't know. Good luck to them. Listen, reminder once again, if you haven't already, download the app. YouTube will be going dark for the last portion of the show as we get into the interviews with the cast of Raising Kanan Season 3. That drops tonight at midnight. So the interviews are just setting you up for episode 1 that gets ready to kick off. And let me tell you, I have seen a few episodes for this new season, and if you are a fan of this particular spinoff, of the franchise in general, but this particular spinoff, make sure that you are locked in. So when we come forward, you will be checking out interviews with the cast of Raising Kanan Season 3, Mekhi Curtis, Antonio Ortiz, Malcolm Mays, Haley Kilgore, London Brown, Joey Badass, and Grantham. Oh, I can't remember Grantham's last name, but he plays Ronnie. All of that and more. Thank you for rocking with us, VIPs. Make sure you download the app. You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
Infusing a sense of fun and entertainment in every episode. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
I'm Doug Davis with the latest from the Black Information Network. The U.S. is continuing to push for the extension of humanitarian pauses in fighting between Israel and Hamas.